Ladies and gentlemen, you're all welcome to your favorite program, Success Keys. This is a fresh edition of Success Keys, and I know you guys are seated before your television set to digest the truths that will be flowing through this program. I'd like you to call your loved ones and tell them to connect to Canada English for this edition. We're going to start right now with the wisdom quote, and I'd like you to be attentive so that you can get it. It says, there is no dependence that can be sure, but a dependence upon oneself. There is no dependence that can be sure, but a dependence on oneself. We're going to come back before we begin to explain all this. Let's go. Wow, you're welcome back. We're going to talk about the wisdom quote explanation. You will see it again displayed on your screen. The wisdom quote, which says, there is no dependence that can be sure, but a dependence upon oneself. Get it clear. There is no dependence that can be sure, but a dependence upon oneself. People are unreliable. People are very funny. They can stand with us today and the next minute they are no more with us. And if you depend on somebody, you will certainly be disappointed at a certain time in your life, because people's role they play in our life is not going to be there forever. They can be of help towards you today, and the next day they even could be the ones fighting you. So it is not safe at all to depend on somebody all the days of your life. They can withdraw their help, they can withdraw their support, and you'll be stranded. So it is always wise to be able to stand on your own, being able to carry your own self, not just depending on people. If there is something we got to eliminate in our life, it is this dependence on people. It is not a sure foundation. You can't build on that. What if they fail you? What if they disappoint you? Does it mean your life is going to collapse? It's important for you to know that no dependence on anybody is sure. People are free. People are weak. People are unpredictable. That's why you cannot build your destiny depending only on people. I've seen many people frustrated just because they thought that for them to succeed, it was the responsibility of some people. They didn't know that it was their own responsibility. We are the architect and the one responsible for everything that happens to us. I always say we are the architect of our successes, and we are also the cause of our failures. Blame no one, because you depend on no one but yourself to be able to make it. That was it for the wisdom quote explanation. We're going to move forward now, and we'll be going to the wisdom key for the day. Wisdom key for the day. Let's go. Wisdom key for the day. We are saying, depend on yourself. Depend on yourself. That is the wisdom key for today. Depend on yourself. I'd like you to get this clear. It's very important for you to know that depending on somebody is not very wise. There is what we call the self-sufficiency muscles that every man has. And the more you work on yourself and the more you depend on yourself, the more you develop that self-sufficiency muscle. The more you depend on yourself, the more you develop those muscles. And before you know it, you can be able to do a lot without actually depending on people. But the more you depend on people, the less you develop the self-sufficiency muscle. Being able to stand on your own is the greatest of all. There is no success that goes with joy when 90% of the work was done by somebody else. When you succeed and you are not the one who made that success, there is a kind of joy you will not have. There is a kind of joy you will not know, because you are not the one who brought about the success. So it's important for you to be able to stand on your own. Like we told you, even when it comes to joy, don't depend on somebody else for your own joy. It is your responsibility to be joyful, and that joy shouldn't depend on circumstances or people around you. Develop that self-sufficiency muscle by depending on yourself. Sometimes when people don't want to get involved, what they look for is excuses. Sometimes you could be depending on somebody, and at a very delicate moment you need him the most, or what you hear will be a clumsy excuse, and that will actually hinder you or affect you negatively. Because if you are expecting somebody to show up at a very delicate moment, and instead of the person showing up, you get only clumsy and flimsy excuses, how are you going to feel? You're going to be broken, because the time you need him more, he has decided to use this game of excuses and walk away from responsibility. So it's important for you to understand that you have to depend on yourself. Anybody can help you in life as you move on. I've even seen that people like to help a man who is determined and a man who is pushful. A man who is able to push himself forward can easily be helped by people, because people don't want to take a man from nowhere and make him somebody. They want somebody who is already furnishing some degree of effort in moving forward. That's the kind of person people like to cheerfully help. A man who is already pushing himself to a level will certainly be supported by other people who want him to attain that level, because they see him to be pushful. They see him carrying himself. They see him struggling. So you have to learn to depend on yourself. In Africa, the reason many families are poor is simply because the only rich man in the family is stressed and drained out. You see, sometimes in some families, the only rich man doesn't live long. Why? Because the other family members are actually depending on him. They weigh him down. He's taking care of this and that. He's carrying the whole family on his shoulder. That is weakening him, reducing his energy, weigh him out, and before you know it, he's gone. African families depend a lot on brothers. My brother is up there. He's going to help me. He's going to take care of my education. Even that house which he has, I want him to give it to me. He has a lot of money. He got property. That's our problem. If everybody in every family was a hard worker, furnishing his best in order to become great, without this dependence thing, without looking up to somebody for everything about you, if we were hardworking, being able to stand on our own and accomplish some things for ourselves, I can tell you Africa would have gone forward. The white man is not like that. They are born with the seed of individuality planted in them. They begin to fight for themselves right from small. A white man can tell you, accompany please, let's go eat ice cream. And you will follow him thinking that he's the one to buy the ice cream. If he says, accompany me, let's go eat ice cream, make sure you got some money in your pocket. Because when you get there, what will happen is that he's going to take his own, eat, and then you take yours and eat, and he's going to pay for his own. Because they have been raised up to tackle their own problems. They have been raised up to face their own future. It's only in our African setting that you see the elder brother can shoulder the responsibility of the whole family on himself, while others are depending. That's why in most families, lastborns are always very lazy. How lastborns don't give, they're stingy, because all they have been doing is they have been receiving all the other years, and as such they have never learned how to give. All they have known is how to receive. They have never been taught how to give. That's the problem in such families. We see the elderly ones are the ones who are like the seeds that have got to be planted for the young ones to come up powerfully. So it's important for us to start depending on ourselves. When you're coming up with a project for your success, be the one to champion the lead in getting that success. Don't depend on somebody. Sometimes people even depend on things they don't have, because they believe that somebody will help them with it. What a wrong notion that we allow sometimes to take roots in our mind. Dependence on people has got to stop if you want to know some levels in life. The truth is that when you depend on people, you become less creative. You can be able to come up with initiatives. You're not creative when you depend on people. People, you think they will rush up, they will rush in every minute to help you. When you have a problem, instead of creatively handling the problem, you are depending on help, and that blocks your creativity. Depending on people will cause the treasures in us to rotten. The talents and the abilities heaven endowed us with can perish when we depend on people. Sometimes people may come into your life saying we're offering him help, not knowing that they are not actually helping you, because what they are giving you in the name of help is they are spoiling your life. There are some things people call help that I classify it not as help. It is just a lullaby that makes you sleep and forget yourself. Some help are like lullabies. You are asleep. They come to pamper you, make you comfortable, make you deep in your sleep. Meanwhile, nothing is working in your life. Instead of staying awake and challenging some challenges in your life, you are offered help, and that help plunders you into a deep sleep. You are not able to handle your challenges simply because you're believing that somebody is going to help you. What a wrong notion. What a wrong way of looking at things. If you must attain some levels in life, then you must decide to believe in yourself. You must decide to develop yourself. One thing to which you must understand is that we must destroy this wheelbarrow tendency. Wheelbarrow mentality. I call it wheelbarrow mentality. There's some people, you can lift them up, push them. Where you leave them, that's where they stop. You will need to come the next day, lift them up again, push them to another level. It's a wheelbarrow mentality. If you continue in life with that kind of mentality, there's some accomplishments you never be able to come up with. You got to break that mentality. Develop a personality that is stable, a personality that is self-motivational, a personality that is very strong, able to resist different situations. You are enough without anyone. You don't need their stamp of approval to feel good. Sometimes we become addicted to compliments. Since this person does not compliment me, it means I'm not good enough. Let's not be addicted to hand claps. You can be addicted to hand claps to the point that if somebody doesn't clap for you, it will look like you're failing. Don't be addicted to hand claps. You need to be strong. You need to be able to face your destiny. You need to be able to tackle situations in your life, being able to handle them without fear, without any problem. Depending on people strengthens the force of laziness in us. When we depend on people, we become lazy. You depend on people, there are some things you will not be able to realize because somebody else will do it. A job that was supposed to be done by somebody was finally done by nobody. In fact, you're waiting for somebody to come and do this, and then nobody finally does it. So it's important that we don't depend on people. It makes us lazy. Imagine if people around you are to make sure you get up from bed, they drag you into the bathroom to bathe you, and after that we have food prepared for you, and you are fed, they feed you with their hands, and then they drive you, they carry you, drive you around, they talk for you, sign for you, move for you, and do every other thing for you. You are a dead man. Because being active is energy releasing and keeps us alive. People shouldn't do things for us. Let's learn to do things for ourselves. If somebody does sport for you, then it means you're not actually giving your best and making yourself active, because being active is very important. Staying alive and healthy is concerned. When you're active, it helps in your health and it keeps you alive. We're going to go right now to the messages which we've been receiving from many of you. We have many of you who've been actually writing to us. Let's get to the messages and then we'll be right back. Just message. We're going to come back and be able and speak continuously upon your life. Let's go to the messages. Well, we got many messages that actually came to us. We have, good morning, man of God. Your program is so inspiring. People who listen to your program will certainly build good families. That's Full Caleb Chauncey from Loom. Full Caleb Chauncey from Loom. Somebody wrote it. He says, God bless you. I love that. That's all he said. God bless you. I love that. Got many who are actually. Somebody said, good morning, Daddy. I love your message this morning. Thank you very much. Came in Brenda from Douala. That's Brenda from Douala. It says another message. One of the most sincere forms of respect is actually listening to what another has to say. Okay, that's an excerpt of the program we had, the last edition. It says in Bong Chiwe from Bafanji, Ndop. Thank you for knowing that Ndop is connected to this program. Good morning, sir. I am Ngong Collins Ze from Muya Boya, And this program has really impacted my life. This is, we got another one. Good mornings. I am Saint Fonkeng from Chang. The program is a source of inspiration. I love the program. It has changed a lot in me. Oh my God. I'm just excited to know it's impacting your life there in Chang. Good morning, sir. I am called Padi Mba from Douala. I really like your program. That's Padi Mba, all the way from here in Douala. Good morning, sir. I am Kanjo Olive Cleve from Abombang. I enjoy your program. It will help me a lot. Good morning, sir. I am Grace. I'm Grace. Good morning, sir. More grace to you. I am Verma from Banga. Verma from Banga. Glad to know, Verma, you connected to us there from Banga. Good morning. Thanks for the listening skill. I enjoy it a lot. It's Roland from Bamenda. Roland from Bamenda. Oh, we got. Thanks. Thank you, sir. I love your program. This is my first time. Just as I'm putting on my TV, I'm listening. Ngwa from Kumba. Thank you very much for making it with us in this program. I'd like you to always stay connected to Success Keys. Actually, it is pregnant with a lot of insight, which is a revolutionary. It's going to change your life. You know, information brings transformation. Information brings transformation, because information is revelation. And you know, when you put in revelation, what do you have? A revolution, change. We're going to go right now to the last part of this program, which is our wisdom inspirational story. Let's go. You're welcome to our inspirational story. It says there was a business executive who was deep in debt and could see no way out. Creditors were closing in on him. Suppliers were demanding payment. He sat on the park bench, head in hands, wondering if anything could save his company from bankruptcy. Suddenly, an old man appeared before him. I can see that something is troubling you, he said. After listening to the executive's woes, the old man said, I believe I can help you. He asked the man his name, wrote out a check, and pushed it onto him. And he pushed it into his hand, saying, take this money, meet me here exactly 1 year from today, and you can pay me back at that time. Then he turned and disappeared as quickly as he had come. The business executive saw in his hand a check of $500,000 signed by John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the world. I can erase my money worries in an instant, he realized, but instead the executive decided to put it aside, knowing to save his business. He thought, with a renewed optimism, he negotiated better deals and extended terms of payment. He closed several big sales within a few months. He was out of the debt and making money once again. Exactly 1 year later, he returned to the park with the uncashed check. At the agreed upon time, the old man appeared, but just as the executive was about to hand back the check, share his success story, a nurse came running up and grabbed the old man. I'm so glad I caught him, she cried. I hope he hasn't been bothering you. He's always escaping from the rest home and telling people he's John D. Rockefeller. And she led the old man away by the arm. The astonished executive just stood there and stunned. All year long he had been wheeling and dealing, buying and selling, convinced he had $500,000 behind him. Suddenly he realized that it wasn't the money, real or imagined, that had turned his life around. It was the newfound self-confidence that gave him the power to achieve anything he went after. Listen to the story. It's about a man who was bankrupt, who was almost going bankrupt. And he decided to sit somewhere and thinking about his woes. And an old man ran to him. Can I help you? And the man explained his situation to the old man. The old man signed a check. and gave to this businessman. The man went home happy that he had a check, he had money to back him up. But he sat and said, I'm not going to use this money. I'm going to renegotiate deals with my customers. I'm going to stand strong and handle this problem. And the man stood strong, signed contracts, went into new deals. He was no more under any pressure. He worked with self-confidence and was able to make much money without even touching the check that was given to him. It only after 1 year he came to give the check back to that man who had written it to him, because he was supposed to pay back the money in 1 year, only to discover that the man was a psychiatric patient who was standing for a big businessman. He was always impersonating as the businessman. It was a madman who had run out from the rest home and came and talked with him. He never noticed that he had $500,000 in his keeping. He knew that if anything happens, I'll get the money. But he discovered that there was some self-confidence that he had. All what boosted him was in himself. You have to know that your solution is in you. Your breakthrough is in you. Your victories are in you. Use it well. You will not regret it all. Thank you for being there. And I thank you for taking time to be part of this program today. Stay tuned to other editions. Have a nice time. Bye.